Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Ethan Cooper had always been known among his friends as someone reliable, loyal, and generous. At 36, he worked as an operations manager at a large logistics company, where he was respected for his flawless organization and ability to solve problems under pressure. His daily routine revolved around meetings, analyzing reports, and making decisions that directly impacted the entire operation. Despite the intense schedule, he knew how to balance work with his personal life, setting aside time for leisure and regular get-togethers with the group of friends he'd kept since college. Olivia, his wife, was 34 and worked as an administrative analyst at a well-known law firm in downtown Denver. She was meticulous, dedicated, and highly regarded by her coworkers. Even though her job demanded constant attention to deadlines, spreadsheets, and documents, she maintained a calm demeanor, radiating peace even on the most chaotic days. Among friends, Olivia was remembered for her sharp sense of humor and talent for storytelling, making any conversation more relaxed and fun. The couple had been together for 7 years, and from the beginning, they'd maintained an active social life. Friday dinners at city restaurants, weekend barbecues, and short trips to nearby towns were part of their routine. Their circle of friends mostly consisted of couples who shared similar interests and values, making each gathering a genuinely enjoyable moment. There was an almost sacred tradition of meeting at least twice a month, whether for a carefully prepared dinner or something simple like a game night with wine and snacks. To anyone on the outside, Ethan and Olivia seemed perfectly matched. Their conversations flowed naturally, the glances they exchanged during social gatherings showed deep understanding, and the way one would finish the other's sentences always earned light-hearted comments from friends. Whenever they arrived together somewhere, they were usually greeted with warm hugs and jokes about being the most organized couple in the group. Even in small details, like how they coordinated serving dishes at dinner or remembered each guest's preferences, their harmony was evident. At home, their relationship was built on partnership. Ethan handled grocery shopping and maintenance, while Olivia took charge of organization and the financial side of things. They divided responsibilities without conflict, and both had the freedom to pursue their own hobbies and interests. He enjoyed cooking, especially more elaborate meals on weekends, while she loved decorating and finding new ideas to make their home more welcoming. To their friends, this balanced division of tasks was proof of maturity in their relationship. During social gatherings, the two rarely stayed apart for long. Even when talking to different groups, there was always that moment when they'd come together to share a comment or laugh about something one of them had just heard. Inside jokes, meaningful only to them, were common and often turned into small jokes that could last all night. No public arguments, no harsh gestures. What people saw was always mutual respect and affection. The group of friends, made up of people who'd known them for years, was used to seeing Ethan and Olivia side by side, whether organizing a barbecue, playing card games, or planning the next group trip. To everyone, they were a model of stability. No rumors, no visible crises. The image they projected was of a couple who had found a rare balance, able to withstand the pressures of modern life without losing affection or the joy of being together. At that moment, there was no room for doubt about their relationship. Every gesture, every word, every choice seemed to confirm they were in sync. Life was moving forward in an orderly way, and for anyone close to them, it was impossible to imagine anything breaking that apparent solidity. Winter had already passed when Olivia started mentioning how she'd been feeling constantly tired. Long hours sitting at her desk, irregular eating habits, and lack of exercise had started to take a toll on her body and mood. One ordinary night, after returning from dinner with friends, she told Ethan she wanted to make a change. It wasn't just about losing a few pounds, but about regaining energy and motivation for daily life. He listened carefully, immediately supported the idea, and offered to help with anything she needed. Olivia began researching gyms near home. She wanted a place where she'd feel comfortable, not pressured by crowded environments, but that also had good equipment and qualified staff. After a few visits, she found a modern facility with new machines and a team that seemed enthusiastic. She signed up and decided to invest in closer guidance, hiring a personal trainer recommended by the gym. According to her, the man showed right away that he was interested in helping her set realistic goals and build a workout plan that fit her schedule. At first, the changes were subtle. Olivia started waking up earlier to work out before work, organizing her mornings more deliberately. Ethan, who usually prepared meals for both of them, began adjusting the menu to include more fruits and lighter options, following the advice she got from her trainer. Gradually, the kitchen filled with containers of supplements, herbal teas, and whole foods. He found it interesting to see how dedicated she was, and even on rainy days or when extremely tired, she kept her commitment to go to the gym. As the weeks passed, results began to show. Olivia's posture improved, her expression seemed brighter, and her energy at work increased. Co-workers started noticing, complimenting her effort and discipline. Ethan also saw her self-esteem rising. She began trying different clothes, trading loose dresses for more fitted pieces, buying athletic shoes, and even changing her haircut to match this new phase. In conversations with friends, he didn't hide his pride, speaking about her transformation with a satisfied smile. Weekends adapted to the new routine too. Before, they used to sleep in and go out for lunch at restaurants. Now, many mornings were spent on light walks or trips to organic markets to buy fresh ingredients. Olivia spoke enthusiastically about healthy recipes she wanted to try, and Ethan helped prepare meals, even if he wasn't following the diet as strictly. Between them, there seemed to be an even stronger sense of partnership, as if this project belonged to both of them. Friends noticed the change and brought it up during gatherings. Some said Olivia looked younger, others asked about her workouts or requested diet tips. She responded eagerly, sharing stories about new exercises and how professional guidance had been essential. Ethan, always present, emphasized that it was all her doing, that her determination was transforming not just her appearance, but also her mood and daily energy. Even with a busier schedule, Olivia remained present at social events. She simply adjusted her timing to balance workouts with commitments. Sometimes she arrived a bit late to gatherings, explaining she'd stopped by the gym first. No one saw an issue with that, in fact, they praised her dedication. Ethan, meanwhile, seemed completely comfortable with his wife's new routine, proud to see her so committed. Saturday had started with clear skies and mild temperatures, making the group of friends even more excited for the gathering planned weeks in advance. The event was at the backyard of a couple very close to Ethan and Olivia, known for hosting pleasant evenings around a fire pit. When they arrived, the smell of food already filled the air, and laughter echoed from the outdoor area. Chairs were arranged in a semicircle near the warmth of the flames, and side tables held trays full of side dishes, breads, and drinks. Olivia was one of the first to jump in and help organize. She placed her bag on the kitchen counter, grabbed her phone, and offered to handle the music. She connected the device to the sound system via Bluetooth and opened a playlist of upbeat tracks that would play continuously to keep the atmosphere relaxed. Ethan, already greeting friends, made a point of praising her initiative, saying she always knew how to create the right vibe for any occasion. Music spread across the yard, blending with the crackling of wood in the fire. Conversations flowed in small groups, some friends served food, others opened bottles of wine or beer. Olivia moved among them, checking if everyone had what they needed and helping refill glasses and utensils. Ethan, sitting near two longtime friends, talked about a recent work achievement, occasionally glancing at his wife with pride, happy to see her so at ease. Time seemed to pass slowly. Someone told a funny story from the last gathering, another mentioned a summer trip they were planning. Music played in the background, shifting between styles but always keeping a pleasant rhythm. Olivia, away from the counter where she'd left her phone, chatted with two friends near the fire, laughing at something one of them had just said. Then, unexpectedly, the music changed. Mid-song, a WhatsApp notification blasted through the sound system. The audio played automatically on speaker, a feature Olivia had forgotten to turn off. A man's voice, intimate and clear, filled the air. He said he missed her, wanted to see her again at the same place as their last meeting, and couldn't wait to be with her. There was no formality, just intimacy and clear desire. The impact was immediate. Laughter faded like smoke. Conversation stopped, and eyes turned first to the speaker, then slowly to Olivia. Her phone remained on the counter, still connected, and the audio played to the end. Some friends realized what was happening before she did, but no one reacted fast enough to cut the sound. When Olivia finally understood, she tried to run to the counter, but it was too late. The audio ended. The silence that followed was heavy, thick, as if the air had stopped moving. Ethan froze. He felt a wave of heat rise to his face, his body tense, his heart racing. Friends beside him looked away, some embarrassed, others in shock. Olivia stood still. Her eyes widened, and her smile vanished completely. The crackling of the fire seemed louder, filling the void left by the collective silence. Ethan took a few seconds to react. It felt like the ground had disappeared, but his mind spun at dizzying speed. He looked at Olivia, still standing near the fire, motionless, hands clasped in front of her. He slowly stood up, crossed the yard in firm, quiet steps, trying not to draw more attention than the situation already had. He stopped beside her and spoke softly, asking to talk in private. Olivia hesitated, glanced around as if searching for an escape, but eventually followed him to a more secluded spot near the side of the house. There, with a bit more privacy, Ethan took a deep breath before speaking. His voice was steady but filled with disbelief. He asked who the man in the message was and why she was receiving that kind of audio. Olivia looked away, fidgeting with her hands, and said she didn't want to lie. She admitted the man was her personal trainer at the gym, someone she'd grown closer to over the past few months. She confessed they'd started meeting outside of training sessions and that, on several occasions when she said she was going to the gym, she was actually going out with him. The words came out hesitantly, almost whispered, as if Olivia herself struggled to admit what she'd done. Ethan felt the ground give way. Memories from the past months flashed through his mind, delays, hidden phones, weekend gym sessions that lasted far too long. He asked how long this had been going on and heard it was recent but had intensified in the last few weeks. He tried to understand her motivation, whether she was unhappy in the marriage, but got vague answers focused on the attention and care the trainer showed her during workouts. The silence that followed was suffocating. Ethan held her gaze for a few seconds, as if searching for a more solid explanation, but found none. He felt that staying there, facing her, would only prolong a pain that had already become unbearable. He said the conversation was over, that there was nothing more to discuss at that moment. He returned to the group with a closed expression. Conversations had timidly resumed, but everyone knew something serious had happened. Ethan thanked them for the evening and apologized, saying he needed to leave. His tone left no room for questions. Olivia appeared shortly after, saying nothing, and they walked together to the car. On the drive home, the silence inside the vehicle was absolute. Ethan kept his eyes on the road, hands firm on the wheel. When they stopped in front of the house, he finally spoke. He said the marriage was over, that she could come in only to grab some essential belongings, and that she wouldn't spend another night under the same roof as him. Olivia tried to argue, saying they could talk more calmly, but Ethan remained firm. Olivia went in, gathered clothes, personal items, and a few daily essentials. She packed everything quickly into a suitcase, avoiding prolonged eye contact with her husband. Shortly after, she walked out carrying her luggage to the sidewalk. A car pulled up in front of the house. She typed something on her phone before approaching. When she got in, Ethan recognized the man behind the wheel. It was the personal trainer. It wasn't a rideshare. He'd been waiting for her. She had called him. Without another word, Olivia left that night to live with him. Ethan stood at the doorway for a few seconds, watching the car disappear down the dark street. There was no anger on his face, only a deep emptiness, as if a part of his life had been abruptly torn away. He went inside, closed the door, and leaned his back against it, trying to process what had just happened. The house, once so full of life, now felt too big and too quiet to bear. The next morning began with a strange feeling for Ethan. He woke up early, still haunted by images from the previous night, replaying in his mind like a movie he couldn't escape. The kitchen was silent, the smell of food no longer filled the air as usual, and Olivia's absence made every corner of the house feel emptier. He took a sip of water, took a deep breath, and picked up the phone. There was no hesitation. He called a friend who was a lawyer, briefly explained what had happened, and asked to meet as soon as possible. A few hours later, at the office, he laid out the details. He received clear advice on how to proceed, what documents would be needed, and what initial steps to take to protect his rights. Ethan signed the first legal petitions, officially starting the separation process. It was decided that all marital assets, including the house they lived in, acquired during the marriage under a partial community property arrangement, would remain under court supervision until the process concluded. It felt strange to think that this home, built with so many plans and care, had now become just another item on an inventory list. Meanwhile, Olivia had already moved into the personal trainer's house. The first weeks were marked by a false sense of novelty, outings, dinners, and displays of affection. But as time passed, signs of strain began to appear. He spent more time away than promised, citing commitments with other clients or last-minute issues. Messages went unanswered, plans were cancelled at the last minute, and the attention that once seemed exclusive became rare. Olivia, initially trying to ignore the signs, began noticing inconsistencies in his stories. Casual remarks from gym co-workers and social media posts from other women eventually confirmed what she'd feared: he was involved with multiple students and having similar conversations with them. The disappointment was immediate. She realized she'd traded a stable, respectful relationship for something fragile, built on fleeting impulses. On the other side, Ethan remained focused on rebuilding his life. Friends who had been present at the gathering stayed by his side, offering support and distraction when loneliness weighed heavily. Invitations to lunches, golf games, and casual meetups became frequent, always with the care not to intrude on the subject. This steady support helped ease the initial pain, showing that despite the loss, he wasn't alone. Over the months, Ethan returned to activities he'd set aside. He enrolled in courses related to his field, attended more professional events, and even started taking weekend trips. The house, once silent and filled with memories, remained exactly as it was the day Olivia left, since any changes depended on the court's final decision. Still, Ethan found ways to make the space less oppressive. He kept everything clean and organized, put away items that reminded him directly of the marriage, and brought in small personal things that didn't affect the disputed assets: books, photos from trips with friends, and plants. Small daily adjustments helped transform the home's atmosphere, making it more bearable while he waited for the process to conclude. Olivia, on the other hand, saw her social circle shrink dramatically. Mutual friends, uncomfortable with how everything had unfolded, chose to distance themselves. Invitations stopped coming, and even family members kept their contact more distant. Without the support she once had in dealing with the frustration of an unstable relationship, she began to feel the weight of her choices. What had seemed like an exciting adventure had turned into isolation. The legal process moved forward, with scheduled hearings and partial decisions being made. Ethan attended every step, determined to resolve things fairly but without giving up what was rightfully his. Olivia, present at the same hearings, avoided any attempt at conversation beyond practical matters. In the end, each went their separate way. Ethan, stronger and with new perspectives, found a balanced routine free of uncertainty. Olivia, carrying the consequences of her own choices, had to learn how to deal with distance and the loss of trust her actions had caused. What had once been seen as a solid, inspiring relationship now existed only in the memory of those who'd witnessed its collapse, making it clear that impulsive decisions can shape destinies in irreversible ways. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.